All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian McIntosh, and I work as the product manager at Edcite. Before that, I was a high school math teacher. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about assignment settings. Here with me from the Edcite team is Josie. Josie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Josie. I'm the manager of customer success here at Edcite, and I'm the person who you call if you have any problems using our website. I'm excited to get started.
Great. Well, we'll jump right into this. We have about a half hour today, and we'll be talking about assignment settings that you as a teacher can use to support your students and customize your assignments to get the experience that you want. For this webinar, we're going to go ahead and turn off the cameras in a second, and we're going to share screen so that you can see what we're doing. If you have questions at any time, type them into the chat. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off now and turn the screen share on. All right. Are we able to see my screen?
Absolutely.
Great. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So to go into my assignments, what I'm going to need to do is go to assignments and my assignments. I'm going to pick an assignment I've already built, and I'm going to modify the settings on there. This is in one of our demo accounts. Harry Potter, so I am Severus Snape right now. So I'm going to go to edit this assignment. The editor is where you're going to be able to change the settings on an assignment. Now, Severus is in an Edcite Schools account, so this is a locked common assessment. We'll do a separate webinar to talk a little bit more about those, but we'll touch on that when we go into the settings. As far as settings on Edcite, you may have seen this if you are familiar with question creation. We always use a gear to show you where you can change the settings. So for the assignment settings, I'm in the assignment editor. I'm going to click on this gear. Now, when I click the gear, the first thing that pops up is actually going to show me what settings are already engaged. So Severus Snape has already set this as a common assessment, which we can see here. The reason for this is that common assessments can be created by one teacher and shared with another teacher. So this gives you a way to see, oh, if the original creator of this assignment has set something, that's the person I need to talk to if I want to change the settings. You as a teacher can also go in and set your settings for a regular assignment. So on free Edcite, if you're using that, you probably won't see anything from other teachers here, but you'll just click open all settings. And what we'll show here is any settings that you personally have set. So I'm going to go in and change the settings for this assignment, or just look at them so that we can talk about them and go through them. Click open all settings. So we'll start with the top up here. So the first set of settings are with student tools. So these have to do with what a student gets to use while they're doing the assignment. I have an Edcite Schools account here. Severus is part of an Edcite Schools account. So you may see some settings here that are not available to you in your free Edcite settings. I can turn on a calculator. The air graphing is good for high school. Basic and scientific are good for the younger grades. Text-to-speech is on by default for all our Edcite Schools assignments, so that students can access the information even if they're not able to read as well, or if they have that as an IEP. You can disable text-to-speech if you want. Sometimes people prefer to do that for ELA assignments where you're assessing reading. To give students some extra practice or extra information that might help them answer the questions in the assignment, you can enable a periodic table or add a link here for any reference sheet that you want to do. You can build a custom one if you want. The masking tool will allow students, a lot of times we see this with students with accommodations who really need to focus in on individual parts of a question. This masking tool will let them cover parts of the question that they're not focused on so that they can focus on the relevant parts. Next category that we'll go to here is basic settings. Well, you can see one is already engaged, which is that common assessment setting. That will lock the assessment for editing so that a team of teachers can give it and compare results and compare apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. If people are all editing the different questions, it's going to be hard to compare data together. You can also disable the quick assign up here, which will basically make it so that teachers can't assign this, or you can assign this with a quick link. That will make it so that you have to assign it directly to students in order for them to access the assignment. Randomized question order is what it sounds like. It'll take the questions and shuffle them for each student so that students will see the questions in different orders. It is a good security feature if you're worried about students copying each other's answers for particular questions. Last one on this page is an Edcite Schools Only feature, which is a secure browser. Now, what this will do is, some people will refer to this as kiosk mode, but it basically opens, when the student opens the assignment, it will launch in a secure browser where they're not able to open new tabs and Google things. They're not able to open it up and use a calculator in another tab. And they can't close that until they submit the assignment or save and pause. So it's a really good way if you're on the more summative end of things to assess securely and avoid distractions for students. Okay, next category here is student report. So this is what the student will see after they finish the assignment. You can set it down here so that nothing is really shown. It'll just thank them for completing it, and they can move on. Some people use that in really summative cases, again, where you don't want first period sharing answers with fifth period. Hide answer details will just hide the actual correct answers for individual questions, but will still show the students their score. So this is a really good feature for people using test corrections, because you can show, oh, you got 0 out of 1 points on question 1, so you need to correct your answer, but it's not going to give away what the answer is to the student. So the student's going to have to do some thinking still to figure out what the correct answer is on the question they missed, but they'll know which questions they missed. A similar category is control retakes. This is going to either allow students to retake the assessment or not. Just so you know, if you allow students to retake the test, only their first score is what's going to show in the reports. You can see their second, third, fourth scores on the grading page if you want, but by default, your reports will just show their first take. If you check this, students will not be allowed to retake the assessment. All right, moving down to student view. So this is a set of settings for students, again, as they're moving through the assignment. And this has to do with how formative you want it to be. So allow answer checks after each question is really formative. Students finish question 1, they can hit check answer, and they can see, was I right, was I wrong? And then use that information to answer question 2. So it's, again, very useful in that formative case where you want kids to know, not after the test, but right after they answer the question, did I get this? And can I fix my answer or change it? They can change their answer, but again, the first take is what's going to count for their score. Question reset is a similar thing. We have some matching types where students drag them across and match them up. Question reset allows students to reset the answer and get benefit from that quick feedback from those questions. Enable math notations and math tools and free responses. So you may include free or essay response question types in your assessment. It's a really good way to assess understanding, and it's more open-ended than a lot of the automatically graded item types on Edcite. If you check this setting, you're going to allow students to use math equation editor tools within that written free response. So I recommend this if you're doing math and you want students writing about their answer. So to give you an example, students could write an equation in their essay response and then explain how that equation works or what it means for the y-intercept. So they'll be able to write using math type. They won't have to do those slashes for fractions or ⁻² for x squared. They could actually go in and write in real math type, just like a teacher when they're creating the question. The last two here have to do with how you can make it, you can control when students can access the assignment. The first one I'll actually talk about. I'm going to skip access time windows for a second and go down to access control, because this is the one that a lot of people think of first. Access control lets you create a window for your assignment with a start and end time. Now, you can also do this from the scheduler. So this is kind of repeated with that, but I can set the start date and the end date for when this is available. So you don't want to set them the same, or no students will be able to access that. So this assignment will be accessible to students between today, 3:48, and the 1st at 3:48. Now, some people set access windows that are a week long, and that's fine. You want to have students work over multiple class periods. So that's when access time windows can be useful. Let's say you're assigning something on a Friday, and kids are going to start it that day, but then they're going to finish in class on Monday. You know that, and maybe you don't want students to work on this with a bunch of additional tools, or you don't want them working on it at home. What you can do is use access time windows, and you can, again, set a start and end time if you want during each day. So you can say it's only available between, let's make this school hours, so I'll say 7:45 and 3:45. So what this is going to do is it says students that try to open this on Friday evening at 4 p.m., they're not going to be able to access it there. So that restricts this in one way. But what about over the weekend? So I can also say on Sunday and on Saturday, the days when we don't have class, I don't want students to be able to access this either. So that's going to ensure that they come back in Monday and students are all in the same place that they left on Friday. There's not students that are way ahead because they just did everything at home on Saturday. If you want them to do that, by all means, just remove the access windows and students can definitely work at home. These settings are designed to give you flexibility in terms of how you want to use the assessment, and whether it's in class, at home, or a mix of the two, all are possible with this. So that is all the assignment settings here. We'll do some separate webinars on common assessments if you're interested in the future and learning more about those Edcite school-specific features or assignment settings. Thank you guys for your time, and thanks for participating in this webinar. If you have any questions, you can email myself. My name is Brian, B-R-I-A-N, @edcite.com, or Josie, J-O-S-I-E, @edcite.com. We'll pause here for a second, see if anyone has any questions. But if you don't have any questions, you're free to go. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.